is this guy?
His name's Kevin Smith.
Is he from Mallrats?
No,
not
not
Mallrats.
No, not Jay and Silent Bob. But we sat down and it was just me and then like a panel of like these guys in suits and everything. And I was
Sure.
wearing this, and he just was looking through everything and he goes, "How have you managed to run this business ad hoc for the last 6 years?" And then, honestly, after he said that, I was like, that's the best way to describe how I really do everything. So,
Yeah, just kind of go with it, right?
Yeah,
figure it out. I mean, it's the building an airplane while you're flying it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I've perfected that as far as a small business owner goes. Same thing with content creating and a clothing line or whatever you want to call it, lifestyle apparel. I don't know how much research you've done, but I put powerlifting on ESPN for the first time. The Beast of the Bench, that was me.
Hell yeah.
The one that failed Julius misload on the all-time world record on ESPN during COVID, that was me at my gym. It's still one of the coolest things. I mean, I still remember because it wasn't on 2 or 3 or live stream. It was ESPN.
Right.
They introduced me right at the beginning. Disney was livid the whole time because we weren't supposed to have anybody there. It was during COVID, and we had like 300 people fill my gym. Then like Garrett Fear ran across the platform with no mask on, and like they caught that, and they're like, "Oh, is there a guy just ran across?" And he wasn't even part of it. It's just Garrett running across.
Just Garrett.
Yeah. And so they're like, yeah, Disney in one ear and ESPN in the other, and they have it all mic'd up and trying to drown out.
Oh, so like you can hear them while you're.
Dude, yeah.
And people are just shitting.
Yes, and they're like, they have no concept of what's happening, like on the platform. And one of these guys, there's 6 of the best bench pressers in the world in one place. And one of the guys missed his opener and just goes, "Fuck." And it's all isolated into the mic. We can't have that. I was like, guys, this isn't the NFL or the NBA where you like have time or this is so far off in the distance you can't hear. If they're mic'd up, you can block it out. That's not how this works. I mean, these guys have been training for a moment that nobody else has experienced. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's a lot of emotion on the platform. And even in that, just any competition.
Well, I also think it's absurd, right? That like the sound that guy made of disappointment was offensive.
Yeah.
What are we fucking talking about?
Oh, dude.
Like the context of using "fuck" in that sense, like he may as well have just gone "ah."
It's an erroneous grunt or something.
Just to be offended by it is so fucking stupid.
Yeah. But I mean, that kind of really piqued a lot of like, people saw who I was. I got a lot of death threats from that one. That was
really?
Oh yeah.
You got a bunch of death threats.
Got a bunch of death threats. I ended up having to I can't put my kids on my Instagram too much. Just so
because you hosted a meet during COVID, like is that the main?
Oh no. So Julius was going for the 800-pound raw or 804 whatever. Sure. And we misloaded it. Which the guys misloaded it, but the head referee who says platform ready is supposed to count the plates, whatever it is what it is.
There's a check situation and everybody failed.
Yes. We started the downward motion, realized it was fucking 55 pounds heavier on one side, and our guys took it fine, but he tweaked his pec.
Yeah.
And ESPN's in my ear, and they're like, "Oh, he's gonna take another one, right?" I was like, "No, This man just held a misloaded 859 pounds on." Like, that's not how this works. And he's like, "What are we supposed to do for the last 20 minutes of airtime?" I was like, "I can interview, we can interview the guys or whatever." Like, "Fuck this, cut it. We're done. This was a bad idea." And so like that whole thing happened. And then all of a sudden, the all-time world record. I mean, in sports in general, when they went through this whole thing, I think they did the all-time world record log press. This was all on like Rain and Core Sports and stuff. They did this whole thing, and part of it was my Beast of the Bench. But like you talk to the outside world, the reason why Julius is so famous, or Larry Wheels, is because people outside of powerlifting know who these guys are, because this is the first thing anybody asks at a gym is, "How much can you bench?" You know what I mean? Like that's
sure.
So that's how they know. No one knows, outside of our world, no one knows who John Hack is. They really don't.
Right.
There's maybe a few gym bros here and there, but if you ask
No, if you move into another realm of strength and fitness, no one knows who John Hack is.
No, and that's, and with Julius, it's different. Like that's, they know him as the guy who can bench press the most.
Yeah, and he also looks like a monster.
Yeah, that's why they talk about him, going over to Japan all the time, and the whole Bob Sapp was super famous. He's a terrible MMA fighter, but he was super famous in Japan. The guy is, a monster among men.
Yeah, I mean, same with like Hapthor.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That, like, I never understood why strongman didn't take off like in Japan. I really thought that sport
It'd have been a huge novelty.
would have done really well there, but it's not like they don't know about it. So,
Yeah.
going back to something you were talking about there, like, so having this big opportunity, right, and having your gym and getting to host and having ESPN and fucking Disney involved, like, I can only imagine the excitement of the opportunity to do it. And then as shit starts going south, like,
Yeah.
how are you managing that?
Honestly, man, there's a lot of other things that happened during this time too, and like that just made it a giant shit show behind the scenes and stuff like that. And for me, like I don't have any business partners. It's something that, it's one of my rules, I guess, especially with friends, because eventually it never works out. And so I've always taken my licks on my own. And I think over time, you learn to handle that a little bit better than I guess some people that don't have that experience. And at the end, I always try to conceptualize something else in the world that's happened that's kind of similar to that. And Aaliyah told me, she was like, do you remember when the UFC got on Fox the first time? And it was just an absolute shit show because nobody understood the UFC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was on Spike, and then you had
I remember all that because, like, The Ultimate Fighter was on Spike.
Yeah, and then they got the Fox deal, and the first one came out, and it was a disaster because you had all these degenerates coming on TV on general cable, and like your classic, dad that watches, golf or something. It's like, oh, what's this? Tunes in, and it's like, whoa, and then look at it now,
Right.
And Dana White said that even. He's like, man, if it wasn't for this, and this, I don't know if we would have ever existed. And those were all mistakes. You know what I mean? And so I look back at it, and at the end of the day, I'm always like, well, we did it. No one's done it since. We haven't seen anything else on there, but at least we laid some sort of a platform, whether or not it was a shit show or not. I'd like to think that I did my part in trying to help build powerlifting or strength sports.
I find those sports are so hard for TV.
Yeah.
But especially if you don't have a frame of reference for what big weights are and you don't understand the real intricacies of powerlifting. Strongman works because it's cartoon shit. You see people carrying weird, heavy shit. I mean, even competing in the Highland Games, right? Like, most of the events, the crowd would kind of get into, but caber and then the height events, the crowd's super into. Those are black and white, and I can tell whether it was a pass or fail from, 100 yards away.
Yeah.
So those all make sense to people. They can cheer for it right out of the gate, whereas if we're throwing heavyweight for distance and I throw something far at 48 feet and you throw something okay at 44 feet, those don't really look that much different from 100 feet away.
Oh, yeah.
So it just doesn't quite translate.
Or the general public who doesn't know the sport.
Yeah, and people good at stuff make it look easy.
Yeah. No, you're right. They did go to a commercial gym. I mean, I've had it happen before traveling. I couldn't find a strength gym that had a deadlift bar, and you go somewhere. And, that's my best lift. And so, I mean, you've seen me. I pulled 740 at that expo, and I'll have working sets over 600 pounds, and the whole gym's watching, and they're looking at me like, this is insane. I'm like, man, I'm like the 10th strongest guy at my gym.
Do you ever find, like, once people start watching, you start thinking about, like, well, is this heavy? Like, should I be impressed? I remember, like, training. I trained in my garage the whole time I competed, and then made my way to, a CrossFit gym. We'd train up there a couple days a week with this guy, Matt Bruce, who's a weightlifting coach. And, being in a CrossFit gym, anytime I'd put over 405 on the bar, like, everyone's looking.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, I'd just come from powerlifting and doing other stuff where I was training with Gary Frank and his team down in Louisiana. And so, like, man, like 405 was the second jump in warm-ups.
Oh, yeah.
On most days for squatting.
That's what I mean. And it like, even now, even with powerlifting growing as it is too, it's sometimes even hard for me to go to local meets anymore. You know what I mean? Just because the athletes, your elite athletes are getting into these, and the federations are getting bigger meets that have like cash payouts and DOTS qualifiers and stuff like that. So, like, trying not to dilute the sport as much. I mean, back when I started, they were all backyard meets. You know what I mean? And now you go to some of these local meets, and it's just a feel good thing where the best overall with a 386 DOTS or something like that. And so to me,
there's got to be the rookie game too.
Well,
know?
and that's why I think I'm trying to like figure out where that like trying not to get lost in the arbitrary view of what strength is. You know what I mean? Because it can happen when you've been in the game for a long time. You know?
Yeah, it's easy to be jaded on what strong looks like.
Yeah.
Or that I don't know, some hierarchy, right? That like if you're not doing this and you haven't really like started yet.
Yeah.
I mean, same reason for me. Like I don't ever consider that I was a very good bencher, and I've benched 440 and benched 700 in a shirt.
Yeah.
I only think I'm a bad bencher because I've seen really, really good benchers.
Yeah.
The same way, like, I'm not a good thrower.
Yeah.
I was very good at my sport, but good throwers go to the fucking Olympics.
Exactly.
Like, I know where they're at.
Yeah.
I wasn't invited.
Yeah, man. It's wild. It's all a mental game, especially since there's no team, you know?
Yeah.
So you can really dig into yourself hard in this sport and really get lost in why you do it, you know? Just something we talked about, you know, out there. So I think that's another part of why it's such a cool thing, because at the end of the day, you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, and that's your opponent in this sport too. Just like anything else in life, you know.
Well,
what I mean?
That's the only opponent.
Yeah.
Like I never got the competitive piece against like other athletes that came in powerlifting or even throwing for that matter.
Yeah.
Because how well you throw today doesn't affect my time in the trig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go and do my fucking best, and the cards fall where they fall.
Oh, yeah.
And so giving a fuck about what your lift was, I don't care.
No.
Just hope you didn't get hurt.
Exactly. And I think, I mean, that was one of the things I was telling you out there is like, as I've gotten better for some reason at the age of 40 or almost 40 compared to when I was 30, I have to take a step back sometimes and remember why I'm doing this. Like getting invited to a pro meet now or like a cash payout meet, which never happened before. Still remember that the ultimate, you know, finish line for me is the finish line that I draw for myself, not a check that's at the end or a dot score or making sure I beat this person or another person or try to get to this show or this show. It's like, what do I still want to accomplish in the sport? You know what I mean? Before ultimately it kills me. Cause I mean, that's how I view it anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, what you're talking about there, right? Like that, knowing what you want out of it versus needing one of the, accomplishments to answer that question.
Yeah.
You know, so for you, like, what do you want out of it?
I don't know. Like I always said, you know, the reason I do this, is a therapy for me. Just on a bunch of years of things culminating. I went to the bar as the reason, or that was my, you know, I guess my therapy. And I always said it was because I could be having the shittiest day of all time, and that bar is still going to be the same to me. I could be having the best day of all time, feeling the strongest version I've ever felt to myself, and it could humble me just as quick. It never changes. And I don't think there's anything in this world that is complementary to that, for me anyway. And so when I step on the platform, a lot of people ask me, like what I feel or, you know, what I'm thinking. It's the only time that I don't think of anything. You know, I pulled 722 down South Padre Island with a torn hamstring. Everyone in the warm-up room, even like Dan Bell and stuff, they were like, bro, look at your ham. I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, but I was a week and a half out when it happened, and I'm here. This is one of the biggest meets I've ever done, you know? So I put what I wanted as my third attempt as my opener, essentially.
Yeah, we may as well ride or fucking die. We got one shot.
Yeah, and I hit it. And to me, like, I wasn't gunning for first or a payout or anything else, but that was something that I wanted for me and everybody around me. I just remember listening to the live stream, and I was still yelling in the back room, 2 lifters after me, and nobody was around me. I didn't have, like, my crew with me celebrating. I was just like, oh, like I was still just feeling, and it wasn't even because of the weight or the lift or anything like that. It was just a culmination of emotion and, you know, my kids and the shitty things that have happened, the great things that have happened. I thought of the gym. I don't know, man. It's a wild, just array of the good and the bad. And when I touch the bar, it comes together. I mean, I don't know, man. It's,
you know, I look at that, right? Like what you've got there is the ability to delay gratification.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And so that feeling of getting a chance to test it at some point and then succeed, right? Like there's a lot of hours and a lot of years that come into that moment.
Yeah.
And you can't be prepared for it without taking the beatings on the front end. Like, that's why you go in. Like, that's why you go in and fuck up. That way, when it's go time, you've got some repetitions under your belt to know what it's going to feel like.
Yeah. And I'm not coachable. Like, I have Les is.
I'm not coachable.
I'm not. Like, Les is amazing. He's been my coach for 3 years, and I've had coaches before, and the reason why I've stuck with him is because he's adapted to the way that I train. And he's a liaison, essentially, to, helping me progress without really stepping on my involvement, I guess, in what I'm trying to accomplish personally, mentally, therapeutically with this sport. Because I'm a very out of the pocket lifter. Like, everybody calls like my, if I have an RP 6, it's a Baxter 6. It looks like a 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same thing with lifting with a torn hamstring or this or that. When other people think it's stupid or I'm not making the platform to look at the crowd and have I feel them cheer for me. I never see them. It's dark. I look out there and I don't see anything. I don't think of anything when I'm on the platform. I don't even think of my own kids. It's the second I put the bar down or the seconds before I walk out there on that piece of plywood that all of that culminates. And then when I'm there, dude, it's just emptiness. Like,
yeah, but that's the drug, right?
Yeah.
The drug is being present.
Yes.
Is in that sweet moment, right? Where, what is it? The Newton's cradle? Is that the one where the balls swing back and forth?
Yep.
I look at that moment, right? That's when the last ball has swung out and it hasn't started coming back yet.
Yeah.
Like that moment of free fall, like that's where it happens. And I've got numerous times in my athletic career that I've run into that too. And that shit's the fucking best.
Dude, it is. It is. And I mean, I probably will keep doing this until I'm in a wheelchair. I mean, there's nothing else. I told you, like, sometimes it's just an addiction like anything else for me. But I look at other things in my life that I feel the same way about. And, my kids are a very, very close second. And sometimes I have to make myself realize that that's not fair either. At some point, they're going to be 18, 19 years old, and they're no longer going to be there anymore. And so am I, like, does withdrawal set in at that point? Or, like, do I fall into a deep state of...
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, that's a tough one. I know we spoke a little bit earlier and you brought it up about, remembering your family and doing all that. Like, so, I mean, all of that with your kids, I mean, is that a big part of the why?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, it's and it's never forced. It's the reason why I rolled in here at 2 a.m. instead of, like, it's just, I can't, I think that, I just remember too, like my, aside from my family that raised me, I never knew my biological dad. He left when I was 4, and I still remember, as clear as I'm looking at you right now, I remember when Cameron was 4, and I looked down at him, and just for some reason I was like looking at him. He was smiling at me, and I was like, could I walk out right now and be like, nah, man, peace out. Like, this is cool. And I was just like, what the, like,
crazy.
How? Like, how?
It's crazy, right? I don't, oh man, I have no idea. I wonder about that type of shit too. And the only thing I can think about, right, is if I'm trying to put myself in some line of empathy.
Yeah.
Is I don't believe that's an easy decision for anyone. But I can't imagine being so scared that I'll fuck this up if I don't leave.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you're gonna fuck up. Like I told you, it's probably the only thing that I feel like I'm decent at is being a dad, and I still fuck up regularly. You know what I mean? But man, it's just like those fuck ups are far outweighed by just the gratification of seeing this human being grow up based on the good things that you show them, the bad things that you show them, and molding them, and hopefully, like, giving them the skills and the emotions and the love to be able to be a better human than you are.
Sure. You've talked about it now a couple times too. Like, that being the dad's the only thing you're good at. Like, clearly that's not true. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you're running a business that makes a living. Like, there isn't more successful than that.
Yeah.
You work for you.
Yeah.
You've continued to build strength and garner respect in a sport, plus being a parent, plus being able to change yourself and your mindset and from addiction to anything else. So, like, why do you keep that hang up from being able to celebrate your own wins?
I don't know. I think maybe humanizing myself makes me feel better about where I've come from or where I'm headed.
Yeah, but humanizing and acting like it's not an accomplishment or different.
Yeah. And, you know, I've had people say, you're the only person that's ever like just spit it out and asked me. And because I think a lot of people either don't want to hear what I have to say or know that I'm going to bullshit my answer to make the conversation stop, right? But I just, for some reason, I think if I continue to self-deprecate in the sense of like what I've accomplished or where I'm headed, then the second I fuck up again, I can tell myself, well, I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, but that's such setting yourself up for fucking failure, especially if you know the fuck-ups. Fuck-ups are part of the path.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't any path that doesn't have those failures, you know, then. But being able to celebrate it too, man, I really do believe there's something in that side of having gratitude for all that shit in your life, for all the failures, for all the fuck-ups, for your own ability to be able to fuck up and decide to try again.
Yeah.
Like, that's what other people don't have. Like, that's the really good stuff. We try to sell it as something else, that like success comes from this knowledge and knowing how to do stuff, but it isn't. It just comes from the repetition of fucking shit up. Yeah. And we all learned it from the gym because it is linear. You know, it makes sense in there that there isn't some. I've always liked being around strong people because I know you can't fake it.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way to pretend you did that time. And so we have this thing in common. Like, I know you show up every fucking day and give a shit.
Yeah.
And have for decades. Right? And so if I know that you can do that, then you've got the fucking keys to doing anything you want to do. And being able to celebrate that as, you know, an open between you and what average is.
Yeah.
Because fucking people don't have that, dude.
I like that.
Being able to be stoked on you is another hard part. You know, for me, getting out of my sport and failing and being fucking injured and all this shit. Yeah, I never much had empathy for other athletes or excuses or fucking anyone.
Yeah.
And when that turned around on me, the big one I never realized I had is I didn't have any for me. And that's your capacity. Like, whatever you can allow yourself is the limit of what you can allow from other people. So the more that you're able to celebrate you and love you genuinely, not in some fucking spouting off hubris bullshit, narcissistic way, but confidence, right? That like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, that's a way better answer than I know I'll fuck stuff up. Because what you've really proven is you'll figure it out. Like, you haven't quit anything.
Yeah.
And so, like, celebrate that fucking thing instead of feeling the other way. The other one's coming.
Yeah.
The universe doesn't give a shit. It doesn't care whether you're happy or fucking sad or gives you luck or opportunity.
Yeah,
it's on you.
Track record's there too, you know? So
yeah.
Celebrating.
Yeah, so I mean, what good's that data if you're not going to use it for your own stoke?
Yeah.
Because, man, nobody's going to give a shit about your dreams more than you do. And so, the amount that you can be proud of yourself for change, be proud of yourself for embracing these differences, be proud of yourself for overcoming addiction, overcoming any of these other big emotional things, fucking overcoming this thing with ESPN.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, being able to fucking move forward and all that is so fucking huge, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what shuts people down.
And sometimes I think I don't let that sink in enough, how resilient I am on things that I don't think are actually being resilient. You know what I mean? Like you said, that would shut anybody else down. Or even like my daughter or something like that, the things that she's gone through. Or even relationships. Like you said, we talked about that too. Like it's easy to internalize that. And I don't know, man, it's just good to hear it from someone else, I guess, like.
Dude, it's taken a long time. Like, nobody's fucking meaner to me than me.
Yeah.
That'll be the way it's always written.
Yeah.
And I realized for a long time, it took me, it took me a long time to figure out whose voice that is in my head, the mean one. Because it isn't me.
Yeah.
It's some combination of my coaches and parents and whatever it is that principal, whoever, authority figures.
Yeah.
Right. The benefit I had was I excelled at sports. And so like that voice never came across quite as a negative. It always came across as a motivational power. Whereas I can see how it would fuck other people up. But I know where, when I'm in it and I'm mean to myself, like, you fucking piece of shit, you fat fuck can't live, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's that voice.
Yeah.
That ain't me. And so I can give it as much weight or things as I choose. Now, the other side of that is if I'm going to tolerate that voice and I'm going to have it in there, and maybe I can control it or not control it because it shows up on its own.
Yeah.
Well, then I can choose to build the voice on the other side. The one that does celebrate the wins. The one that does say thank you for fucking everything we've ever survived. Does say thank you for the effort we put in. Does say thank you for the fucking dying up there on the platform and late nights and all the other shit you've overcome. You know, it takes both sides of the coin.
Yeah. I mean, it's so contradictory to what I even told when I said to you out there. Like, I was just like, at the end of the day, I mean, we spend the most time with ourselves, right? So you wouldn't treat somebody you love,
Nope,
you know, immensely and unconditionally that way. So why would you do it to the one person that you need to love for the rest of your life? You know what I mean? To the grave, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you're right, man.
Yeah,
It's
and most
listening to my own bullshit sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and it's also being able to decipher it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those voices that are in there, like, I'm not in control of, man. Like, the ADHD is just as fucking bad as anyone else, but it's not my fault those voices are in there, but I'm the one responsible to figure out who I fucking listen to.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I look at that, man. Like, that's a big shift you can make.
Yeah, I like that, man.
That doesn't change any of the goals. It doesn't make you softer for celebrating wins, right?
Yeah.
Instead of motherfuckering yourself for missing expectations. When, who fucking cares? Like, expectations are bullshit anyway. The intention's what you want to follow.
Yeah.
So, your kids. You mentioned your daughter. Would you fill me in on all that?
So it was actually the last time I competed. It was February 10th, and it was the only meet that my kids had ever been to. Actually, at the time, it was pretty cool. They were both really young. My daughter was 3, my son was 5. They didn't really comprehend what was going on. And it was the best meet I'd ever had at that point. I was competing often. The gym was doing okay. It was still kind of in its infancy, and then my daughter had health issues all her life for the first 3 years of her life, and she, we never knew she was premature. She was an emergency C-section baby. She was not alive when she was born, had to be resuscitated, and so she'd already had pretty tough, 3 years. But every time she was sick, pretty much every other week, and we, the doctors and pediatricians would just tell us, well, that's Mia. That's how she is. That's how she's going to be. She was always in pain, and we didn't have any idea what we were doing as parents. Even later, we blamed ourselves too, like
because of those medical degrees you guys have.
Yeah, those medical.
I got you.
Yeah, because our practice was just as good as theirs.
Yeah.
And so, 4 days after that meet on Valentine's Day 2019, my daughter woke up and she had 105 temperature. Her eyes were yellow. We'd called the pediatrician. She had told us to put an ice pack on her head, and it was just Mia. This is what we deal with all the time.
But, I mean, 105 fever, that's not something you deal with all the time.
You're, especially that young, your
that's real
organs start to
problem.
shut down, and so you could see it even just with her being jaundiced too. Like, I'm no doctor by any means, but it's like, this isn't.
No, that means something's backed up with the gallbladder.
Yeah.
And fucking bile's a problem.
And so we're like, fuck this. We're going to the hospital. We went to a local emergency room. And the second she was in triage, they did a couple tests, and they're like, your daughter's internally bleeding to death. And it's the last thing. There's no.
It would be so confusing because, like, fucking how?
Yeah.
What do you mean? This just is a thing that can happen occasionally?
Yeah, she has a fever. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's like, can you give her some aspirin and we go home? No, your daughter's bleeding to death. We need to administer an emergency blood transfusion now. I need you to sign this AIDS waiver, this, and this, because she's this type.
Whoa.
And I remember we were there, and I was just staring blankly ahead, and I just got up and flipped the medical tray that was right next to me. And I don't know the guy's name. I couldn't even tell you, even if you told me, oh, was it this person? I would never remember. But he sat me down. He goes, listen, man, I have 2 daughters. I have no idea what you're going through right now. I really don't. But trust me when I tell you, if this doesn't happen right now, you don't take her home. And so,
Jesus Christ.
So that alone was just enough for me to be like, okay, what do we have to do? You know?
Get your shit back together.
Yeah. Yep. This is where, this is no longer you. This isn't you anymore. This is her. And 18 blood transfusions. They drained her stomach 3 or 4 times. They misdiagnosed her with cancer. I told you
God damn it.
At one point, they had no solid GI unit here, had no concept of all these tests. We were there a week. This wasn't it. We can't tell what's going on. She's still bleeding, this and that. we need to sit you guys down. We have to talk with you. They sat me and Aaliyah down. They looked us in the eye. We're holding each other's hand, and they're like, we think your daughter has cancer. We need to start rapid chemo and radiation immediately tomorrow. And the term itself, you know what I mean, is something that is just such a buzzword, a faux pas word. It's a death. You know what I mean? It's just death. And it's also something you don't associate with a 3-year-old.
No, especially not yours.
Especially not yours. And so we sank, man, just absolutely sank. And for 6 hours, just went through every scenario and cried together and, you know, held her. She still was, you know, in and out of sleep. And my son was there. And they came back in the next morning. They're like, oh, we ran a few more tests, and we don't think it's cancer.
Okay.
And so...
Well, that's positive at least.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but
anger.
Yeah, at that point, Mama Bear was done. Like, she was just like, this is it. She's like, we need to go somewhere more competent than this. Yeah. And they're like, are you sure? And we're like, we're very sure. So they transported her to... At the time, we were trying to decide whether we go to Cincinnati or Chicago, because Riley's did not have a GI unit. So it was either go to Cincinnati or Chicago. The only reason we chose Chicago was because it was an hour and 20 minutes from our house. So they transported her to Chicago, which has one of the best pediatric GI units in the entire country. And then later in the story, the guy that invented her transplant was in that hospital.
Oh, shit.
By chance. The only man that could perform the surgery. And so we were there less than a few days. They came to us and they said, you know, everything that this hospital brought with you is completely worthless. But we think we found out what's happening. And then they sat us down, and essentially, and it is the best layman's terms I can spell it out, is my daughter was born. You have a pathway in which your heart and your liver work together to filter all the good things, the bad things, pump blood through your body. And my daughter was born without one, which at this time only 83 children had been diagnosed with this at that time.
Well, and I bet they don't make it very long.
No, they don't. They don't make it very long. And a liver transplant isn't a viable option because they're so small.
Yeah.
Right? The liver is one of the largest organs in the body. And so even them telling us that, we were utterly confused. And then they started to spell it out. The reason your daughter's sick all the time, her liver doesn't function. The reason your daughter doesn't have hair, her liver doesn't function. The reason why she has been internally bleeding and not being able to go to the bathroom is because your little 3-year-old has grown her own venous system that no other human being on this planet has.
So they haven't seen that in any of the other cases of like...
So not to this extreme.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, once they did the transplant, we had signed off on. They used me as part of a research through Northwestern and everything else. So it was kind of neat as far as her being able to give back in that way too. And so even them telling us all this, we're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, where do we go from here, right? And they're like, well, we can do these surgeries right now to maintain things, but the only viable option is this transplant, and it's only a 50% chance of taking. And we're like, well, what's the other option? Like, well, she has 6 to 8 surgeries for the rest of her life till she's old enough to be put up for a liver donor. So we're like, well, we're not doing that. So we said, let's do this. And so a little side story that I didn't tell you. We'd originally that June had been scheduled for a transplant. We'd spent our whole half year in Lurie's hospital. My members, my lawyer, just people close to me kept the gym running. It was amazing. Yeah. And we'd lived half and half in a hotel because my son wasn't allowed to be there. So Aaliyah would stay with my son one night. I would stay with my daughter the other. We'd flip flop. We did that for 6 months, and we never got to be like together. Sure. You know. And so surgery day came. We were all in the hotel. Everyone's excited. We're super happy. I get a phone call in the hotel room, and it was Lurie's, and they're like, we need to talk to you. I was like, okay. We were getting ready to walk over there right now, you know. And like, well, we have a 4-year-old that just came up on their transplant that they weren't able to be accepted into, and they're now being able to be accepted to. And Dr. Suprina, the gentleman that saved my daughter's life, only has time to be able to operate on her, but you're able to make that decision now. We know you've been waiting. And I still remember this to this day. So I looked at my daughter, who was 4 now, and I was like, Mia, I was like, this is what's happening. This little girl has a chance to be saved. We can have your transplant today, or we can wait, and she can have hers, and it'll help save her life. And I still remember to this day, I remember my daughter looking up to me and just like, let's let that little girl be saved. And she was 4. And at this point, she had already been through everything that she'd been through.
Oh, man.
And I just kind of looked at her, and we called back, and we let them know we were going to reschedule, and we were going to let them carry on with this little girl. And Mia was so happy. She was smiling ear to ear. And so it was within 2 to 3 days. They're like, hey, we got some room in. We can do this in a week. And so that's a story I don't tell too often, but it's just the heart and the mind of a young child, man. I tell you, and like the unselfishness in a situation like that, especially what she'd already been through. It's a constant reminder to me as a human being, like how much better we can be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're so fucking selfish and self-absorbed and on our own agenda, But anyway, she goes in. It was the longest day of our life. They called us about halfway through, 4 or 5 hours in, and they're like, "Listen, everything's moving. We're good to go. This worked, and we'll keep you informed." But the transplant took, and we broke down. We were celebrating, and they bring her into recovery, and she walked within 24 hours. Incision, a little over 14 inches.
Jesus.
Long across her sternum, her belly, and down to her waistline. And she was walking. I have a cool video of it. She's like, they're like, you're talking about the resilience of children and how an adult would whine and cry and probably be in bed for a week before they ever moved. You know
there's
what I mean?
different switches in kids. Man.
Yeah.
The same reason like they can play in cold water. Like kids are different.
Yeah, they are. And it just shows you we're taught that, though. Like, we're taught that. We weren't born that way.
No.
We're taught that, And we got to bring her home, and it's just the first, for a while, that lifestyle was tough. She wasn't allowed to play on recess because of the amount of blood thinner she was on and medication. She couldn't go to gym class with the rest of her friends and classmates. If she fell, she would bleed to death. You know what I mean? And labs every other day. And then for the last 4 years, she's had to have about a surgery every 6 months to kind of maintain the transplant.
How invasive of a surgery?
We're in and out. It's a day.
Okay.
We're usually there. They perform surgery. We have to stay overnight. We have post-op the next morning. We go
It'd be
home.
like getting a scope done.
Yep. She's, become adaptable to it, which, as a parent is tough because you're like, okay, this is becoming easier and easier. And then you think to yourself, well, fuck, this is becoming easier and easier. I mean, this is a lifestyle that she shouldn't have to, do.
Shouldn't have to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's 7 now. She'll be 8 in 2 weeks. And the next one's June 29th. She has to have another surgery.
Is that for the foreseeable?
For the foreseeable, yes.
Okay.
It has been progressing. Like, for the longest time, it was just, it was so exhausting. They're like, all right, it's looking good. We're running at about 13%. And I'm like, man alive, like 13%, running at 12%, running at 9%, running at 14%, And this last September, they're like, we're not sure what's going on, but we're running at like 24%. Okay. We can take her off some blood thinner. She doesn't have to get labs as often, and her hair's longer. She's taller. Does competitive gymnastics. She's playing softball right now. She can go out on recess. It's just the littlest things. But like I was telling you before, it's these like psychological things now as a 7-year-old that are starting to happen as she becomes a young lady,
Yeah.
She looks at herself in the mirror differently. She calls herself ugly. She sees the scar down her stomach. It's something we used to celebrate. We would always tell people her story and like, hey, Mia, show them your pretty scar, how brave you are. And she'd just lift her shirt up and, everybody would be like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And, the general public was so, people are supportive of things like that. You know what I mean? And especially with a small child. And now it's going the other way and it's all self-imposed.
And I don't know if at some point it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's our own issues with identity, especially as you start becoming a young woman or anything else, young man, same way. not knowing I was a chubby kid until all of a sudden I realized I was a chubby kid.
Yeah. Your kids aren't going to, or your parents aren't going to call you chubby when you're 8 years old. You know what I mean? Unless you have shit parents.
Yeah. And I mean, still perhaps the amount that you guys did celebrating it will still be on the scale.
Yeah.
Right. Like for her to balance it out in her own thing.
But I mean, they warned us of this too. The very first patient at that time, I think was 18, and they were showing us pictures of her like on spring break with her friends, and she had a bikini on, and they were talking about how like, at some point she's going to realize that like her stomach and everything else is never going to look the same as, a normal 16, 17, 18-year-old girl. That's something that we have to build into, and prepare her for. And you think you can do so many things right. And then sometimes you just get so defeated thinking like, well, I didn't do this right. I didn't do this right. So what could I have done different? But human nature falls in place. I mean, we develop these mindsets and these images of ourselves on our own. You know what I mean?
And look, it's not fair to judge right and wrong with hindsight.
Yeah.
If you can trust that I know I'm doing the best I can with every decision I make, then the cards fall where they do.
Yeah.
Something I want to go back to in there, man, like, in that window while you're doing surgeries and you're confused and lost and going back and forth between the hospital, how the fuck are you managing the stress?
Man, having a business and being able to successfully run that and pay my mortgage, and at the time I just started coaching. Like I started really getting into it. I'd been coaching for a couple years, but like never advertising it or anything like that. And that was my source of income, right? And so,
was it a distraction from the stress to like have something else that at least you felt in control of?
I mean, kind of. I look back too, and at the time, with the way insurance works, also, my daughter could only be treated out of state because I'm right on the state line of Indiana and Illinois. So we had to purchase essentially an employee plan for only my daughter, which cost around $7,800 a month just for her to be treated. And so, and that had to be immediate. They were like, we can't do this.
So you're draining financially.
Yeah.
This whole time too. You're just bleeding.
Yeah. And then, that only worked because of the community that I built, like came around. Like we had, the gym was run by my members. I had a lawyer, it says my lawyer now, and I didn't ask him to do any of this. He created an escrow account to pay rent and to take donations for Mia's insurance and her medical bills, and like to be able to keep the gym running soundly. I wasn't staffed at the time because I wasn't big enough. I didn't have,
sure.
Like my job at that time was going in and cleaning the shitters and cleaning the gym and putting stuff away. And,
it's your Zen garden, man.
Yeah. That was me, I mean, and now it's changed, it's grown, but like none of that was getting done. So, I didn't have to ask though. Like those things started to happen on their own, and it made the news. Like there's the whole story of Mia made the news, made national news. And so people kind of saw that happening and stuff. And then we did a fundraiser to give back to the actual unit that performed the surgery on Mia and more research. And so a lot of that helped relieve the stress, knowing like sometimes you feel like you're on an island by yourself, right? Or the reason why I've been so successful as a parent with Aaliyah and my two kids is we realized even then that the four of us were stronger together. Like the four of us were a strong group together. And so that I felt like if I had that and then I had this community behind me, I mean, there's not too much that can break me down. A dollar sign on a bill isn't going to break me down. I'll find a way to figure that out. You know what I mean? It comes with even owning a business. You guys, good months, bad months.
Yeah,
you got to pay rent no matter what.
Figure it out.
Dude, you got to figure it out. And I've been figuring it out for a long time. I had my first mortgage when I was 19 years old, and I can tell you right now, I shouldn't have had a mortgage when I was 19 years old.
Yeah, man, that goes back to what we were talking about. That like that's the confidence to carry with yourself. Right?
Oh yeah, and then back then, I mean, we're the same age. They would have given me they were approving me for like a $250,000.
No, I got approved for like a $350,000 fucking home. I had a handwritten letter from a tattoo shop I worked at that said I made X amount of dollars, and they're like, we're guaranteed up to $350. I was like, I'm buying this house for $96.
Yeah, bro, that was the same thing. I was like,
it was a terrible investment.
I don't know how I was smart enough to not pull the trigger on something like that. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's like from then on, I mean, I still remember waiting to, even then, I would wait until, because they would only charge you $1 at the gas pump until the amount that you paid for gas would go through the next day, and I would bank that my paycheck would come in, and I'd put $40 in gas in and hope that it didn't come through and just charge me the $1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the adapt to survive mindset, I don't think exists in kids these days, or at least the youth these days, and it's just...
Well, not here.
No.
Recent travels have led me to believe it still exists plenty of other places.
And it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Uganda.
Yeah.
Like I spent 10 days in Uganda at the end of March, end of something like that, early March.
I remember seeing that.
And yeah, those kids are tough as shit.
Yeah.
To see like groups of 5 and 6 year olds cruising around with machetes because they've got shit to do.
Yeah.
They're collecting firewood. They're chopping wood. They're fucking cook over open flames. Like, you know, our kids are not capable because we've decided you're not supposed to be by that age.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not doing anyone any favors.
No, it's not. And I mean, that's the generation that's going to take care of me and you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. You know, me personally, I knew kids weren't for me. I've kind of always felt that way. But now, you know, as I'm getting older, man, like I realize a big part of that's just fear. It's a giant part of it.
Yeah.
Because, oh man, I just can't fathom like how someone deals with losing a kid. Like I don't understand how that happens, how you come back from that. I mean, yo, you have to face that head on for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
That this may not work. Like, yeah, how do you keep positive perspective through that?
I mean, it's living in the now with children. I mean, I don't know how that plays out in real life, but like celebrating all of the things, I don't know if I've ever thought that even in the moment when Mia was at her worst in the hospital. You know what I mean? It's the weirdest thing because it's the life that they bring you is so much more meaningful than anything else. I mean, it's more meaningful than, you know, being in love with a woman I'm telling you, man, it's just different.
Sure. No, and I'm sure of it. And I'm someone that's a full experience junkie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm into. It's not adrenaline. I want experience.
Oh, yeah.
And the path I've taken of not kids is opting out of a really big, important one.
Yeah.
I fully see that there are some things I would learn on that path that I cannot pick up anywhere else. So if I'm going to go the other way, I'm going to do my damnedest to still get all the other tools.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I still do those. Like, I didn't experience, I mean, I'd never been outside the surrounding states before I left. Ever. Like, I'd never been outside Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, and Kentucky. Ever. Okay. My entire life. Never been on a plane.
Till when?
Till I'm 19 years old.
All right.
And then I jumped on my first plane. I was like, I'm getting out of here.
So childhood was weird too, though, right? Like both of your parents were absentee?
No. So like I said, my biological father had left, and then my mom.
So no relationship.
No, if he walked in this room right now,
like no contact.
I don't even know what he looks like.
Okay.
No. And so my mom remarried immediately with my biological father's best friend. Okay. And he had a daughter, and then my mom, I just had a little sister. She was barely a baby. And they, essentially they never had kids together, fell in love with each other madly and provided for each other. I think the best I can say is I got lost in translation. And I didn't realize that until later. I was kind of, it's not fair to say that they didn't raise me in a home where I was provided food, shelter, and, a safe place to go to school every day and stuff like that. It was all the other things that come with that did not happen, along with some things that I told you about, in private.
Sure.
And so that, for me at the time, I don't know why, but as a kid, I was able to really subdue that and bury that down. And I don't know how. Like, I I wish I did. I wish I knew.
Well, I mean, survival mechanisms of hiding trauma are, I mean, everyone does it.
I know. And I told you, like, from 0 to 30 seemed so easy. And then everything, like, it rears its ugly head to you somehow when you feel like you're old enough to handle things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the world tells you, well, guess what? You're having a boy. And, you know, we weren't supposed to have kids at all. And so then you're like, well, shit, right now, my head is about to explode. Like, what is happening? And then, you know, you're not supposed to have kids again. Well, now you're going to have a little girl too. And your relationship with the person that you're going to have your little girl with is the worst it's ever been. But a bottle of Patron and the kitchen floor said otherwise. You know what I mean?
There we go. It's weird. You don't have to enjoy each other to make a kid. It's
and then at that point, it's like, so what is happening to me right now? Like, what is really happening to me right now? You know, and then you find something to mask that, to like bury that down even further. But you didn't use that when you were a kid. But as an adult right now, seems to be working. This is a good off switch for me.
And what was that?
It was opiates.
Okay. Now, did you get into that due to an injury, or did you just start?
I had tore my labrum and my AC joint on both shoulders, lifting for years, terrible form, and then not terrible form, but lifting heavier. And I had a surgeon that was he was an enabler. I didn't have to do anything. I would just say, hey, I'm in pain. All right, here you go.
Well, part of that, you know, I would say my surgeon was the same way.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that whatever that addiction thing is, I didn't quite have, you know, especially with opiates. But I mean, I could send an email and they would refill my script.
I never had to talk to a doctor. You know what I mean?
I would just talk to his assistant.
Yeah.
And then she would fill my script.
Yep. And then it started to, you know, like it would just be at night and I would take a couple and I would like get into this like mindset of just floating around without all the other things didn't matter anymore. I didn't even think. I remember I worked as a pro bono counselor for drug addiction afterwards, and I visited a patient of mine that had relapsed, and she asked me if I thought about my kids the night that I OD'd, and I said I hadn't. I was like, I didn't think about them at all. And it made me realize just how selfish I was in those situations to just bury.
Well, but that's disconnecting. That's what happens when you use the drug for that.
Oh yeah, and I distanced myself from Aaliyah. I'd had an affair, and so and I didn't even want to. Like I was doing those things and didn't want to do those things.
Right.
And so then I would take more to make me bury that pain, like a different kind of pain, not pain in your body, like just pain in general, right?
Well, sure, because at some point you don't like you.
No, yeah, you hate you.
So it didn't start there, right? So like, when did you start noticing that I'm using this to not deal with shit?
It just, it was a mental, like looking in the mirror and not liking the person that I saw, and then just telling myself that the unhappiness I felt was because of everything else around me, and it wasn't anything inside of me. Like, this isn't happening for me right now, so it's this fault. This reason is the reason why I'm not happy right now.
Always something else.
Always something else.
Yeah, amazing how that doesn't really play long term.
No, and you know what's wild is when I got to that point, I don't like I used to have some sort of faith in in God and everything else, and it was strong. And it was something I developed on my own. I never went to church with my family or anything like that. It was high school, post high school, and then I didn't anymore. I became a rational mind.
Sure.
like every other idiot that doesn't believe in having faith in something. You know what I mean? You have to have it black and white. And I remember that night, still to this day. I remember looking it up. I'd taken more drugs than killed Heath Ledger.
Wow. And
I just remember sitting there, my eyes were closed, and I literally could sensualize my heartbeat. So like, it was like, I could time it. And I just was like, it was slowly getting slower and slower and slower. And I remember thinking to myself, like, well, this isn't good, you know? And then I was like, well, no.
So you hadn't set out to kill yourself?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And you know, not that it's like, I've had many a talks on the phone with people that have gone both ways. I've been on the receiving end of a phone call where the next morning I had to take a difficult phone call. It's tough with my line of business, and as much as I shoulder other people, I've had a lot of talks where the other person's no longer here anymore. Yeah. And so I don't ever think it's a weakness by any means, but I never had that thought in my head that I wanted to kill myself. Never, to this day. But I remember thinking to myself, well, you know what? This is all right. Like, I can feel myself dying, and I'm okay with that.
Whoa.
And it was just like that. I remember thinking nothing. And then as clear as I'm talking to you right now, I heard 2 words. I couldn't tell you if it was a guy or a girl, but I heard not yet. And then I woke up and vomit and like chest compressions and all this other stuff. And it was as clear as me and you talking. I'd never at that point when I was full on, like, I didn't go to church. I was reading the Bible all the time. I thought this dude Jesus was really cool. Like, I like his concept and what he did and like his sacrificing and stuff like that. But it wasn't a belief. It wasn't a religion thing.
Sure.
It was an interest thing, right?
Yeah. The whether or not Jesus in the Christian Bible is a real thing or not doesn't matter to me. The parable works.
Yeah, same. And so, but at this point, like, I had like lost all sense of a faith in something. I remember hearing "not yet." Like, I remember those 2 words, and I on my kids, it was "not yet," and it was like that. Everything else turned around, lights came back on, and I remember like not conceptualizing that until days later and wondering why I was still there. And I still haven't figured out the reason why those 2 words connected, or like why I didn't die that night. I really don't. Some people, oh, well, it's because you're your dad. Well, no, I don't.
Come on.
My kids would have lived a life.
Yeah.
They have a great mom. They would have lived a life probably even better without me. You know what I mean? So, like, in my eyes, that wasn't the reason.
Yeah, especially the way you feel about yourself at that time.
Yeah, and so I don't know where that came from. I believe it's real. And I'm not quite sure where the rationale behind whatever, whether it was God, whether it was Tom Cruise or whoever else said not yet. But I'm trying my best to take full advantage of fulfilling whoever or whatever it was that told me that I'm supposed to be here still. And I think that's why, like, at that point, like, it wasn't a moral thing. I never used again, ever, to this day. And I just, not to toot my own horn.
Sure.
It's just because now
look, rock bottom's different for everybody.
It is. It is. And it's not to say that I haven't used other vices as an addiction to where I've had to pull myself back out again too. Not to that point. That's the lowest I've ever been. I mean, dying.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, dying is the lowest I've ever been.
Yeah,
right?
next to that is just being dead.
Yes, exactly. And so, true to the whole, not dead yet. Like, I've used that as a hashtag even in my post before you changed your whole thing, just because, like, that term, like, the not yet begins and finishes that still to this day. And I don't know why. I really don't. And it's not something that I try to overthink. It's just something that maybe I try to be aware of more in life decisions, shouldering other people. You know, like I said, it's, I've had, since then, I've taken on so many lives, and the same with owning any sort of strength facility. We're all a bunch of degenerates. I mean, you see these people.
Yeah, man, this isn't normal people's hobby.
No, it's not. It's not. And so, I do my best to be aware of all of these humans that have come in my life, and like the experience that I've had, and being able to be realistic with them, and, creating a culture of making them realize that they're worth something, that, the thing we've said over and over again, that, like, you only get one life, and it's yours to live, and it's not yours to live with your husband, wife, partner, whatever else. It's yours to live. This world's going to come and go. But at the end of the day, you're still here in the present with yourself, and to be intentional with that, and to manifest the things that you do each day, to, live your best life. Because at some point it's not going to be there anymore.
It's going to go.
It's going to go.
It's going to go. I don't know when. Thank you for all that.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of rambled on that. It all started with, like, the kids, and, like, realizing at some point, so they could not be there or something like that. It's just all like a revolving.
Sure. Sure. And I mean, on the backside of, I think a brush with death in whatever way changes everyone.
Yeah.
Mine was very, very different. I knew that once I was injured and I wasn't athletic anymore, and I was really miserable, and it wasn't like I couldn't compete. It was that, like, I couldn't walk more than 200 yards a day. And that one's not going to play well for me long term.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I don't sort this problem out of getting out of pain, like I won't survive this. And so that's what pushed me to figure everything out. On the backside of that now, it's, fuck, we figured it out. And then 2 is, it's going to come again.
Yeah.
Like, I know it will. I don't know when.
Or how.
But every day that I got a chance, I want to be on the gas.
Yeah.
I want to be doing the best that I can, and everything that you're talking about with clients you work for. I mean, how much of that do you apply to yourself when you talk to yourself?
I know. I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway I've gotten just from our conversation. I mean, it was a 5-10 minute little excerpt, but it's something that I need to internalize more.
Yeah. But that's got to be a choice.
And be intentional about it and not just use words. You know what I mean?
So I recently had picked up a book and I'd been reading through it, and it's the Last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need. This guy, Andrew Capp, I just had him on the show. And man, coming from lifting background and everything else, right? Like this idea of sitting there and saying, thank you, universe, for everything you've given me. Thank you, universe, for the tens of $1,000s to you. This manifestation talk.
Yeah.
Fuck, it seems so kooky and so much bullshit. Really, really tough. But also there was some point of like, well, you've never done it. So why don't you shut the fuck up until you have an experience?
Yeah.
Because does this cost you anything? It doesn't. Does it hurt? It doesn't. So you're not willing to give that a try? What if it works?
Yeah.
You'll beat yourself to death over other shit. Like you won't do this. It requires no fucking pain. Try it. And, it's made huge differences.
Like, do you do this in like a meditative state or like just in general?
So, I have a journal practice that in the morning, like after my morning routine, I will typically dive into the journal and do a gratitude practice. So I'll just kind of write 3 things I'm really thankful for yesterday. That's it. And they can go from having this facility to picking up a penny.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit, right? Like it's still just trying to enter a higher frequency that you're operating, that you believe that the universe is on your side.
Yeah.
And so during those times, like you're putting your order in with the universe. This gives a chance to tell the universe what it is you want in your life while you're operating at this high frequency, which would be in gratitude, which would be in abundance when you're feeling good. I mean, really give it a test, right? Like I do it in the sauna sometimes if I'm in there by myself, and like once I get uncomfortable, like I'll just dive in and start going, or cardio or any of these other times. And it usually lasts for 1 to 5 minutes, and I'll just keep going. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for everything I have in my life, for the people that believe in me, for the opportunities I have, for the ability to solve problems, for the ability to take a beating. Thank you, universe, for fucking everything. For the air that I get, for the clothes I have, for the opportunity, for being born in Louisiana in 1983 to 2 parents that love me.
Yeah.
All the way through it. Good luck finishing and not feel better. And so there's something there.
Interesting. The first time that you did it feel like you were forcing it, or did it feel like it was a natural progression?
Well, so the first time I did it, like I'd already been kind of down the weird road for a while, so I was kind of open for whatever that could be. I mean, starting to deal with breath work or any of the other things with journaling or any of these other things now since 2017. I got into cold plunging and kind of breath work like in 2015 to try to figure out knee pain. Because anything could buy me a degree, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is a bunch of that stuff I found other value in than the relieving of pain.
Yeah.
And so once I kind of took the expectation or my own filter away from like this kooky pussy shit, and I was like, well, what if it works? And then give it hell.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, if we're not going to believe in it, it's not going to work. And as much as I can want that to be some placebo, I don't have any evidence to support that it doesn't work.
Yeah, I've figured that out about you anyways in this short amount of time that we've known each other. But yeah, I mean, you're a realist too.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. There's enough of it, right? That even if, like, do I think that there's some magic to saying these words? I can struggle with that because my own personal beliefs were not terribly important. I mean, the universe is of no obligation to make me happy or make me fucking sad. It also isn't going to care when we're gone.
Mm-hmm.
In the 14 billion years Earth has been here and the couple 100,000 that Homo sapiens have been around, like, we don't make the fucking list of cool things that's happened on this planet yet. The dinosaurs were around for 250 million years. We haven't done anything yet.
I mean, in the shorter term, you're replaceable by the next child that's born in the hospital down the road.
Yep. Yeah, right. And so, you know, if all of those things are the case, then that means, like, I don't necessarily believe in fate, but I believe in stacking the cards in your favor.
Yeah.
And I do think that there is some type of a vibe or frequency that I've caught occasionally. And no matter what that is, I know when I'm around the right people or I'm really present in a moment and I don't have that filter of other bullshit that's following me around, like, how do we replicate that? Like, what is the mechanical way to replicate it? And I've noticed it through gratitude and breath work and those type of things. And the breath work one's really interesting because, I mean, it's something you do 10,000 times a day, but how often do you practice it?
Yeah.
And so being able to use that as a tool to manage anxiety, to up and down regulate, to be able to get into your subconscious through holotropic breathing or any of these other things, it's been really, really neat. I mean, we've hosted breathwork classes here.
Yeah.
My wife Bonnie will host, and fuck, man, it's crazy. You watch people split open.
Yeah, we have a coach at East Race that specializes in breath work, and I've done one session with her, and it was completely spiritually eye-opening, and it was over a Zoom too, which was wild because we were in the same gym together, but she's like, I don't want to do it at the gym. So, like, we either do it here or you do it from a safe place for you, and I'll Zoom call you in. And I only did it once, and it was like I got done and I had this like euphoric feeling, dude, almost as like a post-sex feeling.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
So why not follow it up?
I don't know. I said,
like, if you did a thing that cost you jack shit,
yeah,
and you got this positive euphoria,
yeah,
afterwards,
I never did it again, and I walked away with that. Like, as soon as I turned my computer off, I was like, this is the most freeing and stress-free I've felt in a very long time. Never did it again. That's
crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so what if you incorporated 10 minutes of that into your morning routine?
It honestly, it would probably be life-changing, to be honest with you.
I look at that, like, that's putting your own oxygen mask on before serving anyone else.
Yeah.
You know, my morning routine has become pretty non-negotiable for my day. And that may mean I've got to protect that boundary by being up here at 5 before I have other shit that needs my attention. But that's me being accountable to it, because I know that if I don't do it, I'm not at my best.
Yeah.
And I know that I do what makes me my fucking best.
And honestly, it's just like anything else. It's just like training. It has to become a routine. It has to become something that is a part of your life. And I think that's where I lack. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do it once, and then it's just like anything else. You just throw it out the window. Don't do it again. Especially with somebody with ADD. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So if I can't turn it into that routine, it's not going to happen.
Now, it's become very. I mean, my routine has changed quite a bit. But like now, like, I feel like it's pretty dialed to accomplish what I want to. And what I want is focus, and what I want is clarity, and what I want is the fire to take action.
Yeah.
And so, like, my morning routine is I typically come up here, I'll do an hour of cardio, and I'll watch a documentary or a podcast or something I have never fucking seen before.
Yeah.
What I'm not doing is zoning out on something.
Yeah.
I want this to start switching on and warming up for the day with new ideas and new thoughts and new perspective that I don't have. And then after my time there finishes, I go to the sauna and I typically listen to an audiobook and I journal in my phone. You know, and I'll do that. You know, the sauna is a weird one. Like, I don't have a time that gets placed on it. I kind of do it by feel.
I don't think I would be. It's the same thing with ADD. If I put a clock on it, I'm just going to stare at the clock.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be able to do it.
So the feel that I go for in the sauna is there's a point where the only thought that keeps coming up is I'd like to get the fuck out of here. Where, like, I can feel myself starting to look for excuses of why I can't be in there anymore. Like, there's emails I need to answer, and like, holy shit, it's the stuff going on. I'm like, yo, it's 7:30. You don't have shit to do. You don't have anywhere else that's fucking important to be, asshole. Like, sitting here, and also, what, 6 more minutes is what's going to fuck up your day? Like, you're such a fucking liar. And like, I notice all those things in myself, but it gives me a chance to deal with that voice every day.
Yeah.
That voice that wants to pop up and say, like, we can't do this anymore. I don't want to. Like, fuck off. We're doing it. And so, like, I think, overcoming that voice in a small way every day makes a big difference. And I think getting that time in the sauna. So, like, once that voice kicks in, I get away from my phone. I no longer look at it. I set a timer, and I'll do like 10 minutes of shadow boxing. Like,
okay.
Once I'm fucked, like once I'm as hot as can be. And that shadow boxing is just keep moving.
Yeah.
And it's basically a fuck you to that voice of like, oh, we thought we were done and you could shadow box for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know how fucking far from done you are if you can do that. Like most people can't shadow box for 10 minutes anyway, much less after 50 minutes in the sauna at 170 degrees.
Yeah.
And so then from there, it's get into the cold, and I spend 3 minutes in the tub just doing breathing, and then I start the day.
I'm sure you've figured out me a lot in the conversation. Most of our conversations since I walked through that door has been pretty intimate, things that only people that are close to me know. But to pair with the breath work, it's funny you were talking about. I've done cold plunge one time. This won't surprise you. So
I just assume fucking everyone does it now.
Well, because that's what's on Instagram.
And also I'm in a world where people do it.
Well, so listen, this was my experience, and you'll I know you'll because you know how I am now. But it was before this last meet, and the only reason I did it was because my body was shot.
Yep.
I was at the end of prep, and I was like, well, this is what everybody else is doing, so I'm gonna go try it. And there's a place in next to Notre Dame that has the exact same cold plunge you do, and I'd never done it before. And I walked in, and the lady's like, 2 to 3 minutes, like do 2 to 3 minutes, and that's all you need to do. And I was like, okay. And she's like, there's a timer right next to there. I got in there, I got down into my swim trunks, I stepped in. It's the coldest fucking thing I've ever done. I've never done this before. You know what I mean? Like the shower gets a little cold, I'm pissed off, right?
Yeah.
I sit in there and I was like, I am not going to be able to do 2 to 3 minutes. I ducked down in, covered my entire self up, got up to come back out on my neck, and I was like, all right, 2 to 3 minutes, you got this. Lady comes and knocks on the door, says, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. I was like, shit. So I get out, 9 minutes.
Oh, fascinating.
9 minutes, I got out, and I was like, she goes, I told you 2 to 3 minutes. I go, I honestly thought that
Are you shivering?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I didn't even think I made 2 to 3 minutes. She's like, you were in there almost 10. And I was like, I honestly thought that there was no possible way I was making 2 to 3 minutes. So I zoned out and just tried to like be present with myself and leave everything else out of the picture. When you said, are you okay? I thought that was the 3 minute mark. And she goes, no, you'd been there in almost 10 minutes.
Wow.
And I don't think I've ever even told anybody else that story. I told, people at the gym I did cold plunge, and it took me like an hour to fucking stop convulsing afterwards.
Yeah. So there's a point, like all the studies show like the 2 to 3 minute stuff, and whether that's Huberman or anyone else who's much fucking smarter than me.
Yeah.
I've just used it since 2015 when my knee was really shitty. I was hanging out a lot with Kelly Starrett.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Kelly. And so Kelly was the first guy to kind of expose me to sauna and cold for performance enhancement.
Yeah.
And, all the information shows that doing it, like reaching the point of shivering is too far.
Yeah.
Because then you've switched back into fight or flight and your body's now fighting again.
Yeah.
Whereas during the down regulation time, like in that first 3 minutes when you're getting cold, like there's some bit of panic your body sets in where it's going to flood with good hormones because we're in trouble.
Yeah.
But there's no real danger.
Yep.
So then you just get the recovery from all the good hormones showing up without any of the trauma. Your blood goes into your core from your extremities because of the cold to keep you alive. And so that goes back to rest and digest and relaxation. I mean, the big thing I've seen here and how we use it, man, is like first responders.
Yeah.
So like paramedics, stuff like that, the guys that are on call, firemen, it's the first time they've down-regulated in fucking years. And when you're spun up the whole time, like you're not down-regulating at night, your cortisol levels are through the fucking roof, stress gets bad, like all the rest of your markers fall apart.
Yeah.
And so I don't enjoy doing it ever. I'm good. I'm capable at it now, but I don't ever do it more than 3 minutes. Like it's not a fucking max effort exercise.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. And, but man, consistently doing it, I think the cold plunge may be the best tool I own.
Well, for me too, like I guess the point I was trying to make, like my body felt great afterwards. Like it definitely worked for sure. But I took myself to a point of I had no concept of time.
Yeah.
Like zero concept of time. She's like, did you look at the egg timer at all? I was like, I had my eyes closed. I just was in my head was like, I have to make 2 to 3 minutes. And if you hadn't knocked, I don't know what would have happened.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I might
yeah.
have got out of there and it was 20 minutes and I would be falling on the floor.
Fucking
You know?
yeah, probably hypothermic. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what temperature they keep theirs at, but like that one will go to 35.
No, I think she's...
And I only keep it at 45 because like there's not an added benefit. None of the science has ever shown.
I think it's 44, 45.
Yeah,
is what it
colder
was.
is not helpful. And it sucks every fucking day.
Oh, yeah.
Every day I will try to not get in it. And that voice shows up and it's like, well, we're probably busy, right? I'm like, you fucking liar. Like, you have time to get in there, asshole.
And just like you said in the sauna, it's 2 to 3 minutes. Like you talk yourself out of 2 to 3 minutes of something that you have done for yourself. You know what I mean?
That's one that I hold the line on. And the way like I manage that perspective, right, is if I'm really interested in performance enhancement and being the fucking best version of me that I can be, and I'm not willing to sit still for 3 minutes for it. Like there's no danger. I don't have to do anything else. It's just sit there for 3 minutes and shut the fuck up. Like if I'm not willing to do that for my goals, you know what else I'm going to leave on the fucking table? Most everything.
Oh, everything. Yep.
Right? Like you think you're going to fucking harness magic when it comes to business or any of the other stuff whenever, because that's part of it. You're not going to manage any of that if you can't do the fucking show up every day.
No, you're right.
The cold plunge, man, game changer for me. And then, man, coming out of there for my morning routine, I'm fucking on fire.
Yeah.
And I'm usually good till about 2 p.m. And then I want to go home. The other one too is like using it throughout the day too. Like if it's a heavy work day, whether if I'm doing like 3 podcasts in a day or something like that, or creating content or writing a bunch, I'll take time and go walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes and then go dunk my head and just do like a max breath hold. And it'll totally switch me back into the present out of my head that's fucking running too fast. And like, okay, back in the game, and so I use it twice a day, man. I do it when I get here in the morning, usually it's part of my morning routine, and then I do it before I go home. I like it as a bookend to shut back down, get off my phone, and go home and chill.
I know. This is honestly the biggest thing that's come out of even this podcast are those 3 things, like being intentional with praising myself for sure on a daily basis, but then these moments of like the things that my mind and my body need that I tell myself I don't have time for or I don't make into a routine is not making me a successful version of myself for myself, my kids, or my athletes either, or like as a business owner. Like it's just not, it's, and these are all things I know. Like those experiences, that experience in the cold plunge to me was something that was more spiritual. Like I was like, I left there. Why wouldn't I want to do that again?
Right.
Like I didn't.
Well, you just convince yourself you don't have time.
Yeah. And the same thing with the breath work.
Yeah.
But when Taylor and I did that together, I like, as soon as it clicked off the computer, I was like, what the fuck?
What the fuck happened?
I was just breathing. I was just doing the patterns that she said. Like, and I didn't do it again. Haven't done it since.
Man, like once I've got to see some of that stuff work, I can't pretend it doesn't anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you're just lying to yourself.
Right. And I'm like, oh, okay, so magic exists. Fucking cool. So I have to deal with that going forward.
That's honestly why I'm going to the whole universe thing that you talked about. Like, there's no reason for me not to. What is it hurting me to thank the universe on a daily basis for the things that are happening to me, or like even just making it a list? Like these 3 things happened to me today, and I'm going to be thankful for that.
No, I mean, I had a lot of bitterness regarding, losing my sport and getting hurt, and this kind of woe is me of like, fuck, man, no one else gives a shit about their knee, and they're fine, and like I want to fucking use mine, and I'm broken, and I can't compete in this, in the sport. And then, the other side of that being like, I found the thing I'm great at. I'm best in the world at a thing twice.
Yeah.
I won't find another. Like, that's not what happens. People don't do that. Most people never find one. Like, I'm not going to stumble upon some fucking second thing to be best in the world at. And I love throwing. I love it. Like, I would still train twice a week to throw because it's mindfulness. Like, I can get out there and do it without having to think. I can't anymore.
Yeah.
And so I equate that to people. Like, imagine if you'd spent a bunch of time learning how to play guitar and that's a stress reliever for you, and then your hands stop working. Like, this still knows how to throw just fine. And I just can't fucking do it. Yeah. And so the perspective shift from being bitter to abundance on that was like, I can't believe I ever got to do this for 10 years. I can't believe I got to travel around the world with my best friends and my brother and compete in this sport. I can't believe I found this thing. I can't believe that somehow my decision to do track and field in college instead of play football at a small school has led me to get the opportunity to throw in Iceland and carry the Husafell stone and do all these fucking rad experiences. Like, to pretend any of that was going to last forever, like, you're fucking lying to yourself anyway. And so just nothing but abundant, gratitude for the fact that I ever got the fucking opportunity.
Yeah.
And just accept that as the chapter comes to a close. And so forward to the next thing. What else can we do? Physically for me, that, I can't do strength anymore. And I'm really not that fucking turned on by figuring out how much I can squat on a fake knee.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
Yeah.
I know my PRs are. I found out all those metrics of how strong I can be, and I'm good with that. We'll move on to what else can we do?
Yeah.
How far can we run?
How far can you ride your bike? Like,
right.
Watching you do these things. I mean, I've been following you for a lot of years. I saw you in the tail end of you throwing to now. It's a neat journey to see. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's also your gift too to the rest of us. I mean, you did not know me as well. I mean, we've met before a couple years ago, this and that. And I remember I looked back in our DMs. I had sent you a picture of my daughter at the time was only 2 in a Hate Brand hat, and we messaged back and forth a little bit then. But like seeing that journey of where you were and even knowing where your downfalls are to where you are now and seeing how happy you are, it's work. It's fantastic.
It's also work.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking not easy, man. I run into it all the time too. Like, I still run into comparison. I still run into bullshit. I still run into beating the shit out of myself.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't go away. Also, because I've been fortunate enough to surround myself with a bunch of fucking killers, it's the same for them.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. And so, like, don't pretend I don't come with the territory.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's what winners do, is be able to manage that thing.
And nothing we do, none of this defines us. If you're a great bench presser and you can't bench anymore, dude, that's not your identity.
That's a tough one.
That's
a really tough one. I knew throwing would end, but I didn't expect I wouldn't be athletic. That one was tough.
Yeah.
Because I realized, like, how much of my confidence and self-worth and discipline and everything just came from the luck of the draw of being dropped in this machine that has always performed how I've asked it to. And without it, fuck am I?
What am I?
Yeah. And so, like, fuck. I've given too much to it.
Yeah.
Thank it for what it is, but realize that, like, if we have to depend on that thing, we're going to be in trouble one day.
Yeah.
And so trying to get my head around the other stuff. Time's going to come to an end. I hope I can be graceful in the end of chapters to be excited about the start of the next. And whatever that looks like.
The journey is the way.
Well, I've said this a lot, but there aren't any books about the view from Everest. It's all the fucking climb. That's all anyone gives a shit about. That's where all the good stuff happens. That's where all the confidence gets built. It's not from standing there and having the fucking view.
Yeah.
That's an outcome. That's an expectation of, like, oh, the view will change me. It ain't the fucking view that changes you. It's a journey.
Yeah.
That's the hero's journey, man. You sharpen your fucking skills. You go out and you slay a fucking dragon. And you come home with those skills, you resharpen, and you slay another fucking dragon.
Yep.
And how many men stop slaying dragons? I think that's a big chunk of why men, when they get into their 30s and 40s, testosterone fucking sucks. They're fucking fat. They don't eat worth a shit. They haven't competed in years in anything, whether with themselves or with other people. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to find a mate anymore. They've settled down. They've gotten, eaten shitty food and fallen into routine. That why would your body give you its best if you've never demanded it anymore? The best that you need for it to do is sit on the fucking couch. That's what it'll happily do.
Yeah.
It's tough because, like, I think the U.S. has also built a culture that in the last, 60 years or so, I would say hard work, or like blue collar work, right? Like, hard blue collar work isn't successful. That's the jobs you want to get away from.
Yeah.
It's make money. It's, find an easy job, find all this, which is great. But if you don't have an outlet for the physical thing, it'll still fucking ruin you.
Oh, yeah.
We need movement. We need time. And you've either got to choose it or pick a thing that makes you fucking do it. But it's critical. There isn't mental health and physical health. It's just health.
Yeah.
Pretending those two things are separate or that can be managed one without the other is fucking crazy. I mean, even nutrition and diet, right? Like if everything that happens in my body that is of caloric expenditure, right? Like every chemical fucking change, every thought, every muscle movement, everything requires calories. To pretend that the quality of calories I put in the machine wouldn't have anything to do with my brain function or how I manage my mood or what other chemicals get produced is a fucking crazy idea that they wouldn't work together.
Yeah.
Of course they do. Of course they do. If all of this thing's ability requires fuel to do any of those things, then of course the fuel matters.
Yeah.
And so like, fuck, be careful with what you put in there. It's also not terribly complicated.
It's not.
You know how fucking weird it is? We live in a country that if you tell people that you're going to eat healthy food, you're a weirdo.
Yeah. Or you're on this end of like, that's no, man. That's not, that's
we're so far fucking away from like what a sustainable norm should be for food practices.
Yeah.
That to eat healthy food, grass-fed stuff, single ingredient stuff, people think you're on a fad diet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fucking bummer.
Or they look at you and I drink a gallon and a half of water a day. What?
Oh, impossible.
I can't do that.
Can't do it.
What do you think your body's made up of, man?
You know, if you can't do that, then like, best of luck with the hard stuff. Best of luck with the hard stuff, because fuck, man. Shit. You said, like, I know you had some PED use and then went to managing hormones, like, post after that.
Yep.
And you said you were able to sort everything out through nutrition and better regulation of stuff, right?
Well, you have to. I mean, at my age, I mean, especially when you're chasing, man, I talk about this all the time with, especially being in owning a strength gym. It's a huge topic that comes up with, early 20s males. They want to know more. You know what I mean? And
it's not the time for them, but
I know. Sure. And I prefer that they ask me first before going somewhere else. You know what I mean? But one of the things, because I take tests right now. I'm 40 years old, man. At this point, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, same.
You know what I mean? Like I have to.
Yeah, at 30, before ever getting on gear, I'd gotten blood work done, and my test was at 80.
Yeah,
and I ain't never fucking coming back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can, do all the natural things that you want, but I ruined that part of my body by being on PEDs when I was and as long as I have been, right? And so for me, knowing that all of these things made me this super strong and believing that was the only thing that made me strong and not my training regimen, not the things that I was putting in my body, the PT that I was doing, the massage therapy.
Just the peds.
It was just tren. You know what I mean? It was only that.
Fuck.
That was a hard one to swallow. That was a hard one to look at and be like, because
it was hard for you to realize that like all the other things were the important part.
Well, no, that I was still strong enough or could still progress without those things.
Oh, gotcha.
Like I was like, no, I did all of this because I was taking PEDs, and so like now that my strength is crashing, it's because I'm not on drugs anymore. I need more drugs, just like any other drug that you take.
Just like any other drug.
And so, learning to adapt to that. So I was like, there are other PEDs out there that don't come in the form of a vial or a pill, and that's counting my macros and putting the foods in it that will solidify anabolic growth also. You know what I mean? And it's a little more planning. It's easy to fill up a plunger and throw it in your delt or your ass.
Yep.
To plan out 5 meals a day, make sure you get a gallon and a half of water in, manage your caffeine intake so you're not walking around looking like a fucking grape tomato about to explode.
Yeah, not great.
You know what I mean?
That sweet look of Anavar.
Oh yeah, like that's tough. That's
looking maroon.
Yeah, that's work. But like then you go back and think about, okay, 5 days a week I was training this way. That's hard work too. I was stretching and making sure my mobility before I did each of these. That's work too. You know what I mean? Going and seeing my massage therapist, going to a chiropractor, doing my cold plunge, whatever saunas. That's work also. Yep. So why would you eliminate? It's just the same thing you just said. So you do all these other things and you eliminate this one thing, take the easy route out. No, you're a hard fucking worker that got to this point because of all those other things that you did. Incorporate this one other thing.
Right. With throwing, right? Like it's a fun puzzle to solve because you have speed, strength, and technique. and they're really dependent on each other. And unlike the other strength sports, like the weights don't ever get heavier with throwing.
Yeah.
I just have to move faster, better technique, throw it further. And so at some point you kind of maximize, where if I get any faster, I'm gotten weaker. If I get any, stronger, I've spent less time doing technique, blah, 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 blah. It becomes this big push and shove, and you can only do so many reps a week.
Yeah.
But doing the other things of, managing my sleep, figuring out hydration, doing all these other things allow you to train more.
Yeah.
For me, I'm probably lucky enough. The Highland Games is drug tested. And so I wasn't able to get on PEDs until long after my knee went to shit.
Yeah.
That's really when I started.
Really?
Yeah. Post.
After competing?
Yeah. Well, we got tested like 6 or 7 times a year.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't have a moral issue with it.
No, me neither.
I wasn't in strongman long enough to get on, and I wasn't in powerlifting long enough to make that move. Plus, I was doing geared powerlifting, and it was fun. And then the Highland Games drug test, and so like once that was that, like it was kind of out of my head as far as I was concerned. Like I think there's probably other guys I'm competing with that are using, sure, but like I don't fucking give a shit.
Maybe not so much then. Now the shit's pretty good now. You could cycle on and off without.
I'm not smart enough to fucking remember doing any of that. I could barely manage my shot every week.
Yeah.
And so, making sure that I was doing all these other things to be able to train harder. Because like that's the biggest benefit, at least what I was told, that comes with the ped use is, that you can recover faster to train harder again. I mean, also they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also these chemical compounds in your body are super fucking helpful.
They're great.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like it's not a moral thing by any means. Like even like this post-comp getting off of everything, and then you start getting acne as a 40-year-old man or 39-year-old man, and then your dick stops working for a while or this and that because your body has no clue what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're putting all of this, shit that doesn't belong in there to alter, your hormones. It sucks, man. It'd be easier just to be like, well, let's just go back and, take this stuff again. Plus my deadlift was skyrocketing. You know what I mean?
And like, I'll run HRT dose basically for forever now.
Yeah.
Which, seems to help with libido. But yeah, dude, all that stuff's weird. Like, ED or anything else, like it's a fucking weird thing.
Well, and I'm only 2 weeks back into, like, I cleaned my entire body out.
So do you typically do post-comp, you'll fully back off?
I've never done that before.
Oh, okay.
And so this is only week 2 of me being on TRT.
Okay.
So, and now I'm starting to feel like.
What's your dosage?
Like 145.
Okay.
So it's not anything. When I was like peaking for a meet, I was taking 750.
Yeah. I've done drugs without the intention of now just doing TRT. Once I was hurt and got in the game, I was like, fuck it.
Dude,
throwing everything at this thing. I ran a gram a week.
Yeah, I was getting to the point where like even when I pulled the plunger, I wasn't actually measuring what I was just like,
it's just ballpark.
Yeah. But like now.
What's 10% different?
Exactly.
Like it's so crazy to think that if you're 1,100 cc's over 1,000, you're fucking 10% different, asshole. That's a huge amount.
Oh, yeah. And then, I mean, I just remember, like, I was like, all right, I'm going to be intentional about my labs. Like, I have my biological dad, the only thing I do know about him is that he has a heart that's about to explode any minute.
Okay.
My mom has had 3 valve surgeries.
Jesus.
So more than likely, my heart's going to explode at some point, and I'm putting things in it that are going to help that happen.
Yeah.
So getting labs for the first time was eye-opening, and I was like, well, shit, now I need to change my magnesium levels. I need to change my vitamin D is tanked. They're like, bro, this is why this is happening. I was like, because of vitamin D? Like, yeah.
Well, we're not outside anymore.
Yeah, like we're just...
It's fucking crazy, but we're not outside anymore.
No, it's not like as a kid, I'd wake up in the morning, go outside, and not come back.
Fucking eat dirt and drink off the side of houses.
It's true, man. And you do that now, and people look at you sideways because you're not on your Nintendo Switch or like, man. But it's wild because those are things I never regulated, like full-blown, training hardcore, taking PEDs and doing all this other stuff. I didn't really care, you know what I mean? Or my face turning purple and bleeding out of my fucking face. No, not at all.
Ride or die.
Yeah. And now, it got to the point like this. It was tough because at the peak of this, I'd make it through half the day and I was like, shit, I got to take a nap. Like, I don't remember having to take a nap.
Oh, so this is like since you've been...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, now it's starting to progress. My energy levels are getting a little bit better being on TRT again and stuff like that. But it's like, why is this happening? You know what I mean? Well, you fucked up a lot of shit.
Yeah,
So
we have an answer. This one's not a mystery.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even then too, it's like I didn't have to nap, and I was going to bed at 1 a.m. and waking up at 6 a.m. Why is that a thing? You know what I mean?
Oh, you're getting older too. So like even running it against, yesterday's standards.
Oh,
is
yeah.
not fucking fair. Right?
It's not, man. It's not. It's that there are days that I have to remember that too, because there's still I'm running and gunning with 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds at the gym. You know what I mean?
Yep. The only way to win is through old age and treachery.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it's true though, man. It's true. And so like remembering that, 40 is a thing, and that this kid's 23 and it's not going to be the same anymore.
Well, yeah, one of the greatest things that happens is why you're so fucking indestructible in your 20s, because if you weren't, it won't work out.
Yeah.
Like we kind of have to be. There's a reason that the military isn't recruiting guys like me.
Yeah.
They recruit fucking 18-year-olds full of piss and testosterone and fucking hammer down.
Well, as a kid, for us anyways, you imagine that 40 looks like what your dad looked like. And I don't look like what my dad looked like at 40.
I know, that's such an interesting one.
Because
like at 30, I could kind of still feel, I don't know, not like an adult, like a kid. And 40 is now like, yo, you'll be 50 soon. Motherfucker, and 50's an adult. Like a grown-up. Like that's a grandparent, motherfucker. Like
Yeah.
you're 50. And it's, I don't know, it's fucking fun. Because, 40 doesn't feel like what I would have expected it to be.
Yeah.
I'm just aware that there's most likely less time on the clock than has been spent.
Maybe. I mean, do you watch that Chris Hemsworth documentary about where he's trying to extend the longevity of his?
I haven't seen that yet. I'm very interested in it.
It's very good, and it's very interesting, and it's the same. He's essentially trying to debunk that concept. I will live as long as I want to live by controlling my heartbeats per minute. The way
having $10 million in the bank.
True. I mean, like me and you can't do the things that he was doing to.
Sure.
But the research is there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like walking across, a plank between two skyscrapers and learning how to control your heartbeat, control your breathing, and like literally de-age yourself in stressful situations. That's a real thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I
think
mean?
Learning to manage it, right? Like, I mean, it isn't going to be the first time you learn to manage that thing. Like, it takes reps.
Yeah.
And it takes showing up to build the confidence in it, to realize that, like, oh, okay, we're okay.
But I think like men like me and you are willing to do things like that. Like
Yes.
I'm willing to do that.
I'm 100% willing to do that.
You know what I mean?
Look, I mean, I've said that to other people who, end up in conversations about, I don't know, fucking discipline or any of these other type of things when it comes to like, how do you stay motivated, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I went to the jungle in Costa Rica to drink vine juice to deal with my feelings. You don't think like I'm willing to try like a new mobility exercise? Like,
Exactly.
I will do stuff now and it's either a plus or not, and I'll decide to keep it.
Spend 3 minutes in a bathtub full of cold water.
Come on, dude. I want to try all of it.
Yeah.
I love the little biohacking stuff. I love these little things. Even, from my biggest being like 318 and then competing most of the time at like 290, even switching diet to doing like a full keto carnivore thing for most of a year and a half was a big experiment. Because if this reduces inflammation, I'll have less pain in my knee. Maybe I can walk for an extra 45 minutes, an hour every day. So why not?
Yeah.
Let's at least fucking find out.
Exactly.
And the consistency part with that is where I've always struggled,
And I regulate my blood pressure with diet as well. That was one of the things they're like, hey, because of your history, your family history, and the things that we see here from PED usage, this and that, your blood pressure is not where it needs to be. We want to put you on this medication. And it was the same thing as I told you when they want to put me on medication when I OD'd. I was like, no, I can do this on my own. And I have done that on my own. My blood pressure's gone down. It's in a manageable state based on the things that I put in my body that aren't in a pill form.
Sure.
Or a pill form that's not natural, something that my body needs to absorb.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, any of the small metals or any of that, I mean,
And
but until you dial in some of the big picture stuff, don't talk to me about magnesium.
no, yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
Exactly.
are you sleeping at night?
Yeah.
Are you, not eating like a bag of shit? Are you still eating things full of sugar?
Yeah.
Because if so, magnesium's not the fucking low hanging fruit.
Not at all. That's the thing. Like I've had people in the base level ask me things like that. I'm like, sleep 8 hours and drink a gallon of water a day. Whoa, what? Like, dude, start with that.
Right. Well, how that says you also aren't hustling in your day too. How dare you get 8 hours
Yeah,
of sleep?
you don't work like I do. Oh, okay, all right.
Cool, man. Let me know when that catches up to you.
Yeah, exactly.
When you stop feeling that way about your life, like you're winning, like you're winning because you're busier than I am. Dude, I don't know how long we've been going. Drew. Oh, right on.
Nice.
Right on. One of the questions I've got is, what does not dead yet mean to you?
Not dead yet means essentially the same thing I told you. That night I woke up, you get to a point where living has to mean more to you than anything else, and not because you're afraid of death. Because I'm not afraid to die. I'm really not. It's what am I doing in this moment to be intentional with my life? What is my legacy? What am I going to leave behind? You know what I mean? I look at my kids often and I was like, am I okay with my son growing up and being like me, or my daughter meeting a man like me? You know? And if not, what am I doing to change that? Am I okay with this life that I'm leaving? When I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror, do I still look at that person looking back at me and say, we're content with where we're at right now? And that hasn't happened yet. And as long as I'm not fucking buried in a wooden rectangle, then I have time to fix those things.
Yeah, I fucking absolutely love that. I love that, man. Back to kind of circling back to the very beginning of the show, what we talked about, like along with that, right? Like that while I'm alive or any of this and being intentional. Recently I don't remember how I got on the idea, but I was writing about it, and it's even something as simple as like golden rule that we're all familiar with, like do unto others as you do unto yourself, right? Like that's what I think about the universe. Like I want to put out into the universe what I want to come back to me. And then if we're all the same, which, whatever the God thing is, I believe we're either all that or none of us are that.
Yep.
And so if that's true, then I have to treat me how I want others to treat me. And that's one of the real hard lines to hold.
That's probably the biggest, like I said earlier, takeaway from this conversation with you too. I mean, it's like you do all these things for other people, but still know like I cannot walk around and wait for those words of affirmation from other people when I'm not willing to give them to myself.
Yeah. Dude, I'd recommend the journaling.
Yeah.
Like whether or not that's a thing you've ever tried to practice or do.
No.
It can be overwhelming because when you start, I don't know, there's some lens of what it's supposed to look like that you have. And it's the only thing it is an honest conversation with you that doesn't have a lens of judgment of I should feel this way or I shouldn't say that or any of this shit. It's just you being able to talk to you.
Yeah.
And have some awareness of like, oh, that's a weird thing I feel. Why do I feel that way?
Yeah.
And be able to try to find the roots of it. Because if we don't have awareness, like, if we're trying to fix someone's squat, I don't have an emotion tied to the correction I'm giving you. Whereas if I'm trying to fix me, sometimes I will.
Yeah.
And to stop that lens of being on it and just be able to objectively look at it and say, I'd like to stop that habit. That one's a problem. Do less of that.
Yeah.
And how do we try to hold the line?
I like that.
Hell yeah. Even 3 simple journaling things, like I said. What are 3 things that brought you happiness yesterday?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the easiest one to answer. Write as long as you want. There's a ton of really exciting, hard fucking journaling prompts, the more you dive into it. For the most part now, I just kind of freestyle. Something I have seen on the documentary I watched that morning or the book I'm listening to has ripped into a frame of thought.
Even used just a off the top of your head example of picking up a penny, and in my head, like I had started analyzing that even just then, like there's pennies all over the place, and that one was the one that you noticed.
So that's a fascinating one, right? So that's a big practice that's in the book, the Last Law of Attraction book.
Okay, so it was something that you read.
Yeah. So it's something I read, and he's talking about the attracting money, like the frequency of money, and how you build money by doing this. And he was saying that like in your gratitude practice, you write about it or you speak it out loud in the present tense. So like, thank you, universe, for the unseen money that you put in my way. Thank you, universe, for the opportunity to make money. Thank you, universe, for the tens of thousands of dollars that show up a month in my bank account. Right. And so you talk about it in the present tense. And so about 3 weeks ago, when I really dove into the book and I've been hammering this practice, Bonnie and I in the evenings, so we're training for kind of a hike coming up with a group of people, just getting in miles. And so we're walking around the neighborhood and decided, well, walking around the neighborhood is already like a higher frequency thing, right? Like we're off our phones, we're just outside, we're getting fresh air. We know the walk's good for us. It reduces anxiety, reduces depression. You're already operating at a higher frequency. And then I can add onto that and stack, well, we're going to pick up trash. So we both grab plastic bags and just pick up trash from our neighborhood instead of pretending someone else will do it.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'll make the move, right? I'll lead. And then through that time, as we're walking around, it's like, I wonder what money we'll find. I can't wait to see what money we find on this walk. And every time we've done it, we found money.
Huh.
Whether it's been a penny that I can't decipher as a penny because it's so fucking chewed up for being in the street, or I found a wallet with $70 in it that I'm trying to get back to this fucking guy if he'll answer his Facebook messages.
Oh, shit.
But the fact is, it keeps showing up.
Yeah.
And then through that abundance, I had 2 other deals that, people wanted to white label some apparel through us that I didn't expect to come through. And so that opportunity shows up, and then this next thing comes up. And then all of a sudden I had 40 grand show up from the IRS that I thought I wasn't going to get from a refund. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm listening. I will continue the practice. And I don't know if it's just being in higher frequency, and so you're operating better and you're not in scarcity. Like, I don't necessarily get the mechanism of it, and maybe I don't need to.
I was just gonna say, I don't think
who
you
gives
have
a
to.
shit, right?
Yeah.
All I know is it seems to be doing what I was told it would do, and that's interesting enough.
And it's organic, and you're being intentional about it.
Yep. I think being intentional is the biggest thing to fucking do, man. Let go of expectation and just follow the intention of where you want it to go, and then listen to the path.
Yeah.
Dude, I appreciate it.
Yes.
This has been great.
It's awesome.
Absolute joy, man. Yeah. I think that's it. Thank you guys for listening.